Welcome to SOULutions, where men come out of the shadows to testify, giving tips in manhood, honor the codes of integrity, and give out real solutions for soul survival. Today, we have on the show a creative genius, a man of calculation and vision assessment. He can meet you at any level of conversation and seamlessly evaluate your way of thinking and planning your better way for life. He's a planning man, a thinking man, a leader amongst men. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up and welcome the teacher, the creator, the father, the husband, the distinguished gentleman, Mr. Melle Settles.
What's up, man? I had to think. I'm like, who are you talking about? That's what's up, man. I appreciate the intro, man. That was fire, straight up.
Hey, man, you know how we got to do it. We got to uplift each other as much as we can, sir. How you doing today?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm definitely good. How about yourself?
I'm well, man. I'm ready for you to drop these gems and answer these questions.
All right, Michelle, let's see.
It's like deja vu, because I know you've seen the show, so you waiting, huh?
Yeah, I see the show, man. It's fine, but I really like it. It's really uplifting, man. It kind of allow other men to see, like, okay, I'm not the only one in this journey. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Feel like I'm on an island.
Absolutely. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. What person did you meet or see that gave you the drive towards the man you are today? Who or what defined you?
Wow. Who? Man, you know, like for me, I would say it was I got my father and my brothers, and then my moms. I think they all played a part in the man I am today. With my dad, like, you know, I saw my parents, you know, kind of have, did not have, and then get back and grind to having again. But, you know, just that foundation, I feel like my dad, my brothers, and my mom gave me a blueprint of what a man should be. And, you know, like any other blueprint, you just kind of rearrange the rooms where you see fit. And so I think that's what pretty much I did in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like my dad, he always would drop a gem and drop a jewel every once in a while, you know what I'm saying? And have me thinking. And then I had like my older brother, I call him my conscious. And so he made it, my dad would say something, he'll make it like simple and plain, you know what I'm saying? Like each one gave me specific attributes. So like my dad is driven, and my oldest brothers, he's like philosophers, you know what I'm saying? He's like a real good philosopher. He can talk to you about anything. And then like my second oldest brother, he is really good with like hard work, discipline, finances. And then my third one, he like a comedian, you know what I'm saying? So he always cracking jokes. And then the one that I'm close in age to, he's very disciplined. And so I kind of take something from each one of them to kind of just build me. So I feel like I'm a blend of all of them.
That's amazing that you take the best parts of people. Unfortunately, too many of us take the worst parts of people because we emulate things. And just like a former guest said, we look at people's outer and compare them to our inner. But this time you had the opportunity to take from a philosopher, from a comedian, which I think comedians are some of the smartest people on the planet. Driven man and a disciplined man, and you have all these different kaleidoscopes of light that you now have taken. If you can give me one gem from each one, and I don't want to be here all day, but you said you formed Voltron with these five lions in your family. So I would love to hear how Voltron came to be. And those who don't know who Voltron is, if you're too young, look it up. It's a great cartoon.
Yeah, for sure. So my dad, he will always say, never make excuses not to do, make excuses to do. And so, which kind of made me realize not to procrastinate, you know what I'm saying? And so he was like, why put off tomorrow what you can do today? And so that was something that I always remember. And so like my oldest brother, I remember I was going through something in college, man, where, you know, in college you kind of find yourself, but like coming from Detroit and being like real Detroit, in Texas, you know what I'm saying? And then being a math major, I just didn't fit in, you know what I'm saying? City boy, still baggy jeans, Timberlands, the whole nine. And so I remember my professors would judge me before I even walk in. You know, they would ask the question, you sure you're in the right class? And so at one point, man, I was like, man, I'm finna just start putting on shirts and ties and start, you know, look like a real Poindexter or whatnot. And so my brother was like, I mean, that's fine and dandy if that's what you want to do. He was like, but don't change for them. You know what I'm saying? He told me like, don't change for them. If you want to, do it for you. But remember, you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for the one that comes behind you. So the next city boy that comes, they'll think twice because they already encountered you. And so I didn't change, man. I actually ended up getting a teacher assistant job and teaching while I was going through school. So that was something I always remember. And then my second oldest brother, I remember we had a conversation about sex, man, and you having sex? I'm like, man, you a kid, so you like, what you mean? You try to play it off like you're a big dog, like yeah, yeah. He was like, no, for real. I was like, nah, man. And so I remember him telling me, if you can wait, because when you do it, so much comes with it, responsibilities, emotions. And he was like, it's going to be very difficult to handle it at a young age. And he always said, if you can't take it, don't do it. So if you can't take a girl cheating and going crazy on you, you know what I'm saying, don't just cheat on the girl. And so I always took that to heart, you know what I'm saying? And so my third oldest, man, he's so silly, but he will always, he always told me to every day, live a joyful life, you know what I'm saying? Be the best you can be in everything that you do. And like, I always take that heart. And so my mom, sometimes we'll talk and she'll be like, you always act like everything is so butterflies. And I'll be like, that's why I get it. I get it from my brother because that's how he is. He always got a joke, no matter how serious it is. And so like, just take situation for what it is, but always be joyful in that situation. You know what I'm saying? And so I always took that. And then like my brother that I'm closest in age to, man, I just watched him. He didn't even really never even tell me anything. The way he moved and the way he worked, it was like, I just admired him, you know what I'm saying? Like if he struggled with something, he would go in a room and like just study. You know what I'm saying? He'll eat his food, he'll take his food to his room, study, take his food back. Like he did a lot of studying, and so anytime I get in a situation where I don't know or I have to learn something new, I just remember him sitting there studying. So I always I'll isolate myself and study until I got it. So that was like something I always took from watching his moves.
Wow. Basically, you just told me that laughter is the best medicine while being driven and reading research, and always don't take life too serious because you have today to finish it up, and what you can do today, do today. All of those things you just rolled out, all philosophies that I hope anyone is listening saying, hey, I can laugh my way through life in a joyous way, still be driven, still read, and still understand I can be myself.
True, most definitely.
Voltron is now formed, ladies and gentlemen.
Right, Voltron.
I want to ask you another question. Your mom, what is the one caveat that she instilled in you as well? We heard all these great things from these men. Your mom asked you, where'd you get all this smiling from? But it's something that all mothers give to their sons.
My mom gave me, wow, I'm just trying to think so much. And so my mom gave me the ability to choose the woman that I want, because she gave me the attributes where I didn't have to want a woman. So, and that was her thing. She was like, I don't want you to have to need a woman because you can't clean or you can't cook or you can't provide for, can't do the things that is necessary to keep a house. And so she was like, I'm gonna make sure you're able to do it. So it's washing, I'm cooking, I could clean, you know what I'm saying? So I can take care of a home the way a woman would need to. And so that helped me choose the woman that I want to be with, you know what I'm saying? Because I already had the attributes that I'm looking for. So, when you look for a woman, you look for a helpmate. And so when I was looking for a helpmate, I'm looking for someone to kind of help me fulfill a vision in life, and so that's what I was looking for. And so by my mom instilling those attributes in me, it just made it easier.
Your mom trained you to have balance.
Yeah.
No
I
dependence,
think
just balance.
like the, you
Yeah.
know, yeah, so like my dad, he was very strong, back in the day, they weren't really able to actually communicate effectively. And so my mom kind of picked up that slack, what I'm saying? She will always talk to us and make sure we be able to express how we feel. Um, and then like now that my dad's older, he does it now more so because, he's grown. But like in the beginning, that's where my mom came in. She was like, okay, how do you feel? Why do you feel like that? And one of the things that she always did, she always made sure we had alone time, and so, and she will always say, you need alone time so that way you'll know who you are. You don't have to follow a crowd. You don't have to go with everybody. You know what I'm saying? You just actually know, okay, I like this movie because, and if I don't like it, I can choose not to watch it if I want to, because I'm okay with being alone.
Okay, with being alone. Let me ask you this question. This is what I like to call an audible. Brr, 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 brr. Everybody,
Audible.
everybody tells me I need a button. Everybody tells me I need a button, but I don't need a button. I got sound effects right here.
Right.
My question is audible is, have you ever thought about interviewing your parents? Doing a whole evaluation, asking them the tough questions one-on-one, where you ask them the most disturbing questions that you had held inside to get clarity and understanding they had a life too. They made sacrifices as well.
Yeah, man, to be honest with you, when I had my son, like I have my two, so I got three kids. So my two girls, they kind of softened me up, kind of check my biasness between, what's a girl thing, what's a boy thing. And so for my son, just having him and him watching me, it made me realize like, okay, I need to be the best version of myself. I want to be the man that I want him to be when he grows up. And so, and then, most kids, they hear what we say, but they imitate majority of what we do, I think James Baldwin said something similar to that. And so, man, and so in that journey, I literally just started talking to my mom, talking to my dad, asking real questions and trying to get an understanding of their upbringing and who they are, because their background and their upbringing, I can kind of see like where they instill some of the things in us. And so it kind of helped me kind of heal and renew my mind and transform some of the things and some of the generational curses that we have within the family. And so when I had my son, I just pledged, I was like, we ending all generational curses right here. This is the end. And so I really been doing a lot of research and studying on like what it means to walk this walk as a man, as a husband, as a father, because it's important. In the Bible it says God shall return the children back to the fathers, and so I want to make sure they're returning back to a good father and not just any old type of father, though.
The subconscious is very important. Your subconscious deep down inside mimic your parents. If you spend time with them as a young infant, as a baby, most of you is how they think. You just don't have it in common if you haven't asked them the questions to see what decisions they made. They might face the same terrain, same rough passage as you do, but they have more knowledge and information on how to handle it, or they have more destruction that you can say, well, I know not to do that.
yeah. So that's one of the things that we do. Cause so I really consult them with like upbringing, so my kids, they're not the same. They wasn't raised the same way that me and my wife was. We laugh because we were neighborhood kids, and then we got these international babies, and so it's, some of the things that they're encountering is difficult for us because we're still, our perspective is from a different perspective. Even though we're moving and we're growing, but that perspective is different. And so, like you said, like the parents having more wisdom and understanding, we have to, a lot of times we ask my mom and my dad, like their opinions, their decisions, and, and why they made certain decisions with us. And it made it very clear, on ways that we raise our kids and things that we have to put in place. And, my mom, I remember her telling us, you don't have to beat the kids all the time, and I was like, well, you beat us all the time, So, and so when she said that, when I had my first one, like, you don't have to, you gotta, when your daughter comes, you gotta learn how to discipline without beating them, and I was like, well, how you do that? And so we kind of discussed like talking and like just different ways, talking, time out, you know, being able to, for my kid to articulate. And so, like I said, it's like really studying this walk with parenting. Like I really realized like my kids know if they have to get reared, it will have to be three things. You know, we talked about when we set the three boundaries, you know, and they could communicate it from my 3-year-old to my 10-year-old, you know, you're disrespecting an adult, because if you disrespect an adult, you won't be able to grab the knowledge, because only a fool only learn from bumping their head in every situation. You got to learn and gain wisdom from parents, from adults. And so if you're going to be disrespectful to adults, that means you losing out on knowledge. And so not listening, that's another one. Again, you need to listen. And because if I'm giving you instructions as your father, that means I'm trying to steer you in the way that you should go. And so if you're not going to listen, that means you're going to be steered in the wrong direction, because you're making choices. And so that's it. And then we also talked about disrespect. What else I said? Talking back and not listening. So talking back, that's the other. So we kind of.
Let me tell you a couple stories real quick here. See, I had to learn for myself. I have a 4-year-old. I had to learn when he was 3. I had to learn that talking back may not be talking back. For example, he was playing a video game, and I said, "Hey, man, it's time to go." He goes, "Well, I can't go right now because I'm finishing this board in this level." In my mind, instinctively, I turned straight into my dad. You better hurry up and get off that game. You know, right. That's what you're thinking. But then I stopped and I thought, I said, no, he's actually expressing to me what he feels in his level of thinking he can say to me to have some type of conversation about the game. So I went in there and I said, you know what? Hey, we got to go to the store. We got to get groceries. There's things that need to be done. He said, oh, we got to do some stuff. I said, oh, he said, okay, turn the game off. But that could have went a whole nother way. It could have went the way that I was taught.
Right. And so that's one of the things we established, like what does talking back look like and what does it mean? And so I really encourage our kids to communicate, you know, and being effective communicators. And so one of the things that we established what is talking back, if their mom say, I need you to do this, and they be like, no, like, no, that's not an option. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, it's not an option. Yeah. And so we established, so I very rarely have to get them for talking back, but you know, we just established that like this is what it is. And so and I don't like I never whoop my kids angry, you know, and so and they know it. And so when they get to a point where they do something I dislike and I know and it just pissed me off, I would tell them, I'm not you in timeout right now until daddy calm down, because I'm not gonna whoop you while I'm angry. But you get you know, we call it pop. I don't call it whooping. So I'm like, you're gonna get a pop. And then they know it, like, because I never want to overkeep them. You know,
that is the worst torture in the world back in the day, where you know you about to get a spanking in the rear. You gotta wait though. You know, it's every time you get home from work, you're like, oh man, like just all day you turn your head left and right, like, I don't know, maybe I should put a book in my pants or something. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Right. And so I always make sure they understand like what's the alternative, like. And I give them options, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you can get this pop, or you can get, and then be like maybe extended punishment. Like it might be something like crazy, like you stay in your room for the rest of the day, no nothing. And so,
time with self.
Yeah, be with yourself. And so
you have these rules. You have the 3 rules, which I think is very valuable: respect, talking back, and listening. Hope everyone is listening to these rules. You can, you know, implement them where you want, but also just understand it is a structure in order to run a household. So I ask you this, sir, all this structure, all this order that you have in your household, do you have a vision board?
You know what? I don't have a vision board, but what I have is a project book. And so in the project book, it's a plan that I'm in the middle of creating it, because I learned about it not too long ago. I was listening to Jim Rohn, and he was talking about you should have a plan for your life. You know the saying, if you don't plan, you plan to fail. Mm-hmm. And so in everything in this world, you have to have a plan. You go to college, you have a plan. They give you a plan to graduate. When you created the world,
structure.
You have a plan for it, you know what I'm saying? So structure. And so the same thing. And so what I did is I start off with steps on where I see myself in 10 years, you know, and so I just broke it all the way down. And so with that, I also had to do what was important to me. And so, so I had to do one for my wife. And so I got to figure out how, different things that I want to um, cultivate in my, in my marriage. And so what part of myself I have to develop in order to be a good husband. In there, I have a father plan. Like, what are the things that I am doing in order to be a good father? What plan do I have for my kids? And so what characteristics, what attributes am I instilling in them, and how I'm going to instill them? And so, like my kids, one of the things that I start off with them is doing puzzles. And so we do puzzles because they're able to see the whole picture as they put the pieces together. And so we talk about, like, do you see the whole picture? And then, like, no, not really. And so we have to visualize the whole picture. And then I watch them how they put it together. And so you'll notice, like, some people put puzzles from the outside and then go towards the middle. And then some pick images and they put the images together, and then they put the whole puzzle together. So it actually gives me a chance to see, like, how my kids, how they're thinking.
Yeah. Type of thing. And you learn more about them. Absolutely. Intricately.
Yeah.
I like this planning book. If you can tell me, what is the apex goal in your planning book currently, and what is one that you're currently chasing?
Okay, so in my apex goals in my planning books, I have one for each one. So my personal development, I am growing in my knowledge, as far as in each aspect. So as a father, a husband, and as a man. So that's like my apex goal that I'm working towards. One of the things that I accomplished is that I started my project book. And so that was something I learned, and so just put things in place and really being a student of it. So I have a project book, but I also have a notebook that when I read something, when I listen to something, I actually jot down, like, gems, And so what else? In my marriage, we do we do communication. We have more, alone time. We also, I'm working on, so one of the things I am chasing, and so one of the things my wife, because you learn as a man, we just want to just get into the act of sex, and so with a woman you have to create the environment. And so one of the things that I worked on, I talked to my wife, like, what is it, the things that I can do to be a better husband? So she liked massages, and so I am working on finding to become like a little massage therapist for her, so that way she don't have to go pay for it. She can pay me. So that's pay me in different ways, But yeah, so I just, and that's one of the things. And so, like, now I have a 10-year-old, and so one of the things that we're working on, we actually did this summer. We're doing this summer. We this weekend actually we did goal setting, and so we started goal setting. She a gymnast, and she's on a travel team, so she does very well. And so goal setting. So where do you see yourself with it? And then we're gonna tailor it down to, like, this summer. What are your goals for this summer? How are you gonna accomplish it? And so that's what we did this year. And so I'm gonna place it in my project book, but I'm also gonna put it on her wall so that way she can see it. And so just giving her those routines and procedures that she needs in order to be successful when she become an adult. And so with my son, I have a goal for him. My 5-year-old have a goal. So they each have their own plan. And so with each plan, they're in wherever development stage they are. That's what we're working towards. And so that's pretty much what my project book is. But the overarching project apex goal is that starting my own business. So I had two things that I've really been focusing on. And so figuring out what kind of business I wanted to start and what kind of nonprofit that I wanted to start. And so I believe in that you can't get something for nothing. You know what I'm saying? You always have to give back, and you got to reach as you climb. And so, and that's one of the things because there's so many options out there, but what is the option that fits and tailors towards me and my gifts? And so I finally figured it out. And so I've been working towards it. And so that's my apex goal that I'm actually chasing.
You're doing a lot of pouring out. You're pouring out, you're giving to so many people, sharing your light, sharing your ways. What do you do to replenish yourself? What type of affirmations are you telling yourself every day?
So the affirmations that I actually tell myself, I get up. So I have a morning routine. And so in my morning routine, I actually have a YouTube channel just one station that I listen to, and it actually pours affirmations in as I actually do my morning cardio. And so that's where I get some of it from. And then I'm a big reader, and so by me reading and constantly reading different self-help books, it kind of replenish. Because I think with wisdom, no matter how much you pour out, it never depreciate, you know what I'm saying? And so you can gain more wisdom, but you can't, like with knowledge, you can never give it out and then depreciates, like it's still there, And so even though I'm pouring out to other people, other men, my kids, my family, that's my duty. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my duty. My duty is to each one teach one, And so one of the things my dad always would tell me, he was like, your life is not your own. And so by me hearing that all the time, it just makes it, I don't never feel like I need to be replenished.
Audible question. You don't need to be replenished, but tell me this.
Yes.
Mr. Mel, what does it feel like when you miss your run?
You know what? I used to condemn myself when I missed my run, man. Like, I used to feel like crap. Like, oh, I missed it, blah, blah. But you know what? It happens. Life happens. I have 3 kids. I have a wife. I have a job. I'm working towards the goal. So it's gonna happen. And so what I do, I normally reflect. Why did it happen? And so a lot of times it may happen because I might have stayed up later than I should have, or it could have been I didn't look far enough ahead to know that, okay, this needs to be changed. You know what I'm saying? Or I didn't put what made me miss it in my calendar, so that way I remind myself in the morning. And so that's when I started creating an evening routine. And so with my evening routine, I put together the next morning to-do list. So that way I know, like, okay, when do I need to get up? You know what I'm saying? So if I have to do something, let's say 6 a.m, that means I need to get up way earlier. And so by me knowing that when I first wake up, by me knowing that before I go to bed, I plan my day ahead. And so I get up, I get in the bed earlier, and I also set my alarm, I set my clock, I have my stuff prepared, and so that way I can just hit the ground running.
Life's discipline and intentions can be predictable. Yeah. When you write it down and stick to the script. Now, you said that you run, you listen to affirmations, and you say you take in some new knowledge, information, reading books. Later on, we're going to ask that question again, because, I want to see how much of 100% are you operating out of. But what books that you felt that you read that saved your life?
Oh, man. The first one was Seven Strategies for Wealth and Happiness by Jim Rohn. I think it kind of organized my life, That was pretty much the first book that kind of saved my life. I was reading a lot of different books. So I started off with like The Alchemist. I read Richest Man in Babylon. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. All the ones that everybody tell you should read.
But it's amazing how much of a frequency all you men across the world on don't know each other.
Right. And so when you read those things, and you start to hear the same messages over and over again. And so I was hearing these things, but I'm like, okay, now how do I organize my life? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know where I want to be. I know where I'm at. How do I get there? I have a plan, but really, is this the best plan? And so listen to Seven Strategies of Wealth and Happiness. It helped me organize it. And then 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That was the second book that I read that was really inspiring and actually helped me more, because it made me realize that I needed a schedule and to work towards having a planner. And so that's when I picked up the skill of being a planner. And so after that, I realized when I'm planning, I have to do time management. So to manage, what is the management time? The master of mastering your time. And so that book I read, and so it helped me to organize, like, how do I put these daily tasks in my day-to-day life in order to accomplish, but also to manifest everything that I need to do in order to get to where I wanted to be. And so that was the third book. But the fourth book that really took me over the edge was Deep Works by Cal Newport, because it allowed me to realize how to focus. You know, we don't, you know, you're on social media, you're doing Facebook, you're doing Instagram, you're doing all these different things, TV. And so it's tricking your mind not to focus for long periods of time. And so when I was reading Cal Newport, Deep Works, it made me focus more so on how do I concentrate, and building that muscle of concentration. And so it helped me to work towards, you know, my goals by allowing myself time to actually concentrate on a particular task, to write it out, to plan, to schedule, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, it's hard, you know, your days and your time is hard, but to carve out that time to actually put it in place, it makes it easier. And so you know, with the daily life that you have, like, it's always a distraction. So I carved out the time to sit down and do it and put it in place. And it's just been a blessing, man. It's really been a blessing.
So here we are now. We have the subconscious thoughts of your brothers and your mother and your father. We have this philosophy, we have the laughter, we have the drive, we have the person that goes and does the research for the information, and we also have the stand-up gentleman who does actions instead of talking. And then you have your planning, where you have your wife, you have your kids and yourself and your overall development. You have your affirmations, when you run in the morning, listen to affirmations, and you also taking some new information from philosophies, and your goal setting with your daughter. You're pushing your kids to be the best they can be in every facet, and you sacrifice your life to be of service. Now, through all of that we just spoke about, tell me, what did you sacrifice?
Man, I sacrificed being present in a lot of family functions. You know, when I went to school in Texas, I was so far, I couldn't get home as often, you know? And so I miss seeing cousins and nieces, and, you know, grow up missing funerals of loved ones you couldn't get home to. And so that's a sacrifice that I had to make in order to get where I am today. It's a tough sacrifice. Everybody can't make it. And so a lot of, you know, we end up going home for a little while, and, and it becomes something that sometimes you second guess, like, is it all worth it? You know? But being so far away now, I think it made it more clear that I have to make time for it now, you know? And so I will always make up for it. So, like, when my nieces graduated from college, I sent for them, you know, to wherever I was. Like, where you want to go? Come on, we gonna hang out. And so stuff like that, I was send, you know, the cars, we'll do the calls, but being at the family functions, getting the laughter, giving, you know, the memories, those are the things that I sacrifice and I miss the most, you know. But when I come home, it's all love, you know. We kind of have, you know, you gain more memories. You get it's a lot of love when you come home. But, you know, it's very difficult when you have a big family, and your family is a close-knit family. And so every holiday, my family gets together, every single holiday. And so to get a call on Thanksgiving Day together, or Memorial Day, I mean, even Sweetest Day, which is a Midwest holiday, like Sweetest Day, like, hey, we finna all hang out. I'm like, oh, y'all enjoy yourself.
Yeah. Send me pictures. Oh, they
right.
When they out, right? Yeah. I can definitely relate to that. When I was in college and I had my finals, my grandmother passed away and I couldn't go to the funeral. I was all the way in South Carolina and the funeral was in New York, but I couldn't make it to the funeral because I had finals the day before and the day after. It just couldn't work. And I couldn't miss the finals because they didn't care about me, about a family member dying. Like, it's so much paperwork you had to fill out. So I definitely understand when you missed out, even on those type of tragic occasions or the fun ones where everybody is still standing still in time in the
Right.
neighborhood, right? But you're continuing, you're starting a whole nother timeline.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And so I mean, you gotta. Like I said, you definitely gotta look forward because as you get there and get to where you want to be, those times you're gonna make up those times. Not when I say make up, you'll make new memories, you'll make new things. And so I don't do it for my drive is not for me. Like I said, my life is not my own. So I do it for my nieces, I do it for my nephews, I do it for my cousins, I do it, because I was the rough, the rough around the edges one. And so
well, let's dive a little deep into that. Rough around the edges, but you found your purpose later on in life. But tell me, I want to know, what was your lowest moment? And not just to get in your business. This is for the people who might be dealing with something, frustrated, not understanding where they are, trying to find their light, their shine, their flashlight in the dark. Please tell us about your lowest moment. Not just tell us though, how did you get up?
Man, so lowest moment. Man, I would say my lowest moment probably was I would say middle school, high school years. I was angry. I was very angry as a kid because my parents got divorced, and I felt like, it was unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a kid, like why y'all got you know what I'm saying? What's the problem? Y'all can't talk, you know what I'm saying? Let's get some macaroni and cheese and talk about it. And so, and then our life changed, we went from sugar to, you know what I'm saying? And so it just didn't make sense to me, and so because of that, I was very angry, and, like I said, going through this journey of becoming a better father, I had to heal from it, but I think how I came out of it was when I started teaching, man, and I realized that I can't tell students to do one thing and I do it another. You know what I'm saying? And so it made me do a lot of reflecting. And so when doing that, I had to come to grips with a lot of things in my own personal life, anger that I had with parents, with brothers, or my siblings. And I had to forgive. I had to accept decisions that I made that wasn't okay and say I did what I thought was best at that moment, but I can change. And I had to really change and renew my mind. And so by doing that, I came out of the situation, and it wasn't easy because you get reminded when you do something and you done something bad, you get reminded. People, it is so crazy because you'll see people, you change your life and they'll be like, oh, he was so bad when he was young. And you're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I be having amnesia. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right. And it's like, you don't. And so I think I realized I was so angry. So I didn't really understand. I didn't know how bad I was.
Yeah.
Until I moved home. And so before I moved out of the country, me and my wife moved back to Detroit. And so my wife is from Texas. And so we'll be walking around, in a mall or whatever, and we'll see somebody from my childhood be like, what you doing nowadays? And I tell them, they're like, oh, he was so bad. I'd be like, but everybody.
Yeah, like she don't got to know that. Like, thank you. Like, I appreciate it.
Yeah. And so it had got so bad that she was like, were you really that bad? I was like, I don't know. Like, I really didn't know. You know what I'm saying? And so,
But what about the moments that they say you did something really good? Did it work for you then?
You know what? I didn't really get a lot of affirmations of doing well until I graduated from college, man. And that was like, when I received it, it was like, it just ignited me, you know what I'm saying? And so I was like, I fed off of it, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, cool, I'm gonna just keep going at it. And so that actually helped me change a lot too, because I was like, oh, this is not what that feel. You got that little fuzzy feeling inside.
Audible question again. You get a third audible question today. Number 3. I don't think I've ever thrown this many audibles because this is a good one. This is, I was thinking about when someone said, the child who never gets compliments may grow up to be the bad one. and the good one who always get compliments always grows to be the great one. I disagree with that to a certain extent. Let me tell you why. You can agree or disagree with me. I want to hear. The child who never gets compliments, once he gets his first compliment, I believe it would drive him to continue whatever it is he got a compliment on. It could be a good thing or a bad thing, but as long as he got a compliment on how good he did in that particular area, that will be his drive to get that repeat feeling of something he's never got. The child who always get compliments, once he fails, that's when the real journey begins. Because if you never tasted failure and all you've done is win, the recovery of your loss mentally can be detrimental to you as a character, as a person. Agree or disagree?
You know what? I agree, man. I definitely agree. Being in schools, you see it, you know. And someone, you can't just compliment, say, oh, good job. You got to compliment something specifically of what they did. And so when you do that, it ignites something in any kid. It's like, oh, what was that? You know what I'm saying? It's like a fuzzy feeling. Like, who don't, you know, like kids ultimately wants love and, you know, wants love. And one of my good friends, he would always say, a thug need hugs sometime too, you know?
Exactly.
So, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just that sense of comfort, that sense of somebody care, you know? And so, you know, I always think about, like, you know, when the old folks, that old song, I had a praying grandmother, you know what I'm saying? And so I had that, you know, and, you know, my dad, you know, it got, you know, you always go against, you know, what your parents say, and y'all always have that spit and spat. But in the midst of it all, they instilled so much in me that I knew where I was going, no matter how bad I was, that it was just a season I was in, you know, and that's how I always, it's just my season. You know, I said, this is the season I'm in, I'm growing, I'm maturing. I had to do some healing. And then once it hit, I healed. And then I got a compliment. It was just like, I was on fire. Like, he's on fire. So I just.
Okay, now let's keep that same energy, because I got a fun question for you. Let's get out of this deep energy. Let's go to the shallow waters for a second.
Oh, let's go.
What have you procrastinated on and why?
Man, you know what? Lifting, man. I've been running like crazy. So really diving in and changing my health regimen to actually lifting, you know? So that's been very difficult for me. I've been kind of procrastinating on it. I'm like, I really don't want to be in a gym for 45 extra minutes. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow. Like, and so that's like the one thing that I've been procrastinating on. I'm trying to think what else. That's pretty much it. Because the other stuff I kind of just spread out.
You want everybody to say, yo, go Mel, yo, he mad buff.
No, man, you know what? And that's one of the things, man. I got a homeboy, he buff as I don't know what. I'd be like, duh, I ain't playing. My boy be like, I'm not trying to, you know, I'm not trying to win any ships. I was like, ships? He like, yeah, no championships, no scholarships, nothing. So I just want to be healthy. I got a son, I got my kids, and they active. And so I just want to make sure I'm active enough. So I really make sure my win was up so we can re-race it, but I need to get to a point where, like I said, I got to be that example that they see. And so I want to be able to show them that you have to take care of your body. And so as we we have a standard for how they eat. So like my kids, they have fruit, and like my kids eat fruits and vegetables. So like they eat sweet peppers and cucumbers like on a daily basis and ask for broccoli. And so I can't tell them this is how you live, and then they see daddy in the corner eating a chip ahoy. You know what I'm saying? Like straight up, like, you know, and so right. And so it's like, nah, I don't want this cognitive dissonance. And so I want to make sure I mean what I say. And so that habit, that old habit of, you know, bad eating, I've been procrastinating and breaking.
Listen, I tell everyone that comes on the show, I'm terrible with food right now. I love food so much. I try my best to wean off and just get a little bit. I just recently came back from Greece, and they had something called fried cheese.
Oh, woo! Yeah. I heard about it.
Man, yeah. Listen, man, I had to go back twice, man. I had to go get it. Had to go get it with the light voice. Had to go get it. So enjoy life a little bit. I think everybody should work out, do what you need to do until you hit those moments when you go on vacation. Like, oh, I can get it because I've been doing all this other work. But you can't be like me. Don't do no work and then celebrate. Don't do it. Don't do it to yourself.
No work and then vacation. Still don't like, I'm gonna get to it.
Yeah. Don't do a vacation for your vacation. Just don't do it.
Right.
How important is to leave where you're from to develop yourself to where you're going?
I think it's highly important, man. If you're in your element 24/7, it's very difficult to change that mindset because everywhere you go, we all have the same mindset. Unless you just with something totally different than your element, you know. Because like for me, it was important. So when I left Detroit, it gave me a chance to talk to people that didn't have the same Detroit mindset, you know, and it allowed me to expand my own horizon and expand my exposure to different things, different cultures, different way of living, you know. And so when I moved to Texas, it was like the opposite of Detroit, you know. We had like, what is it? We call them mixtapes, but I'm trying to think, what do y'all call it? It's like Chicago. So we had like our own music where it was faster. You know what I'm saying?
They had Chopped and Screwed.
Yeah, so we had house, and then they had Chopped and Screwed. So it was like everything was total opposite. And so we were wearing baggy jeans. You know, you wash them, you took them out the dryer, and that was it. Where they ironed and starched them, and they were real stiff. And so it was really a culture shock. And so just being able to adapt, I think that it grew my mindset and allowed me to see different things. And then being so far away, it allowed me to be on my own and not have a crutch, you know what I'm saying? Because if I be like, Dad, I need $20, he like, yeah, okay. You know what I'm saying?
What did you take from Texas culture that still sticks with you today?
Politeness, man. You know, growing up in Detroit, like it was, you really didn't speak to people you ain't know. You know what I'm saying? We might have went to school together, or like if I met you, it's because we connected through somebody, you know, but, you know, it was, you know, that Southern hospitality, you know, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, hey, like in Detroit, it was like, yes, you know, you know, it wasn't no yes, ma'am or no, ma'am, it was yes. It's okay to say yes. And so like, and I gained the Southern hospitality, and I speak, you know what I'm saying? When I go home, you know, I be in Detroit, like, hey, how you doing? They be like, hey. You know, it's just how you present it. It lessened the
I got a bad story for me. I went back home to the Bronx and I was walking down the street. I looked at this guy and said, man, how you doing, man? How you doing? You doing good? He literally pulled a gun out of me and asked me, did I know him? I said, nah, man, I don't know you. I was just seeing you was having a good day. Have a good day, okay? Had to walk away from this angry man. Like I say, when I go back home, I ain't speaking to nobody. I'm gonna remember where I come from.
Yeah, no, man. I don't know, man. But it's, you know, for me, I had really good experience when I moved back. You know, you just, you know, I speak to people, even people I don't know. You know, they're like, oh, so they always be like, where you from? I'm like, no, I'm from Detroit. Like, you know what I'm saying? So they just automatically think I'm an out of towner. You know, even when I went back and I worked in the schools, the kids forever thought I was from Texas, and then it clicked. It was like, oh, it says you from Detroit. I'm like, yeah, born and raised. Like they like for real, like from Detroit. I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh man, I thought you was from Texas. I was like, why? You don't have a Detroit accent. And so I will put my Detroit accent on form, and they're like, oh, yo, you really from Detroit? I'm like, yeah, I'm at work. Where am I supposed to be? Like, and so it was cool. You know, it was time to be. I think it gave me a time to kind of figure out things on my own. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, you don't have the same dangers, the same encounters when you're away from your own element. You know, if you grew up in, you know what I'm saying, in a trap, and you leave it and you're in a more affluent area, you have a different thinking, a different mentality now because you're being exposed to other things. And so I feel like when you are removed from that, you allow yourself to grow more, you know?
Absolutely.
And so like, yeah, you'll grow from reading, but if everything that you read negates everything that you see on a daily basis. I think the eyes is the gateway to the soul, to the heart, and so you gotta be able to see different things in order to grow.
Absolutely. And you basically told those kids, you know, this is temporary. They rent me to come in here. This is the part of the personality that they rent. This is my prestigious side. When I get off, I own all of me. But right now they're renting me to come and teach you so I can pay my bills and go after my dreams and open up a business and a nonprofit, like you said. The most interesting thing, I'm not going to let you run from it. You said it earlier. You knew it was one of the questions. The sex talk you got from your brother. Let's revisit that really quickly.
All right. What about
why do you think as parents and growing people, we run from the conversation of the sex talk? Why do we always get it from our peers?
I don't know, man. I think I think it's an uncomfortable conversation. You don't want your kids to, I think a lot of parents don't really want their kids to know how nasty they are. You know what I'm saying? and so, you know, if your kid asks you something, he's like, hey, what about nasty? Or your daddy dirty. You know what I'm saying? He's really a dirty man. And I think that's really what it boils down to. You know?
I don't think you got to tell them that much, the intricacies or what balcony it happened on or wherever you was in the car. It's the.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, but you know what I'm saying? Like when you open that gate for kids to kind of converse, they kind of be there. They want to be honest. They want to ask like questions. You know, you'd be surprised the questions they ask, and then they ask you something that you're gonna have to answer honestly. They might.
So are you gonna have your wife approach your daughter, or are you gonna have the conversation?
We're gonna do it together, man. We definitely gonna do it together. And we're not running from it. I feel like it's something that you have to have. If they don't learn from you and they don't get an understanding from you, then you have to undo what they learn from their peers, you know, and it takes double the time to undo that, you know, what they've learned.
Yeah.
We know in education, you know, you learn something the wrong way, it takes double the time, double the work to undo it in order for them to learn the right way. And so we just gonna sit down. But I think it's a progression to it, you know, like you expose your kids to so much before they are able to actually process it. You'll turn them out. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, just in anything, you know, I don't mean to turn them out like freaks like that.
I know what you're talking about. But it also goes to the parents who don't care when they make love, be all loud and stuff, knowing their kids can hit them in the other room and the kid be like 5, 6 years old. The parents don't be caring sometimes. Shout out to those parents.
Shout out. Do your thing. I ain't judging. Do your thing. I'm just saying.
So, and if you can give a blueprint, you having daughter and a son, what are the two? Are you going to engage it differently? What are the two things you might lead off with? You don't have to go into a whole conversation, but how would you approach the situation in case we have someone watching right now that might want that advice? Like you said, you and your wife will sit down together. And I think that's a great thing. I think many people don't even think about sitting down together. They probably give the assignment to the same sex and say, hey, you need to. But sitting down together is way more powerful. So what is something you think, even though your wife is not with you now, what is something you think would implement to start the conversation?
You know, I guess we'll first talk about sex ed, like where the babies come from, and kind of go through the whole spiel of that. And then, you know, talk about how does it happen, you know, and you know, I guess I don't know, man. I have to really look into it once we get to that page, because I don't want to, you know, you don't want to mess it up. So I really have to really study and take some classes. You know, a lot of times we don't, as parents, we definitely feel like we just take what our parents did, you know what I'm saying? And so I really started looking at reading books and parenting books and then looking at classes to take to actually understand this whole parenting thing, you know. And so when we get ready to have that sex talk, I'm gonna have a couple of classes under my belt to, you know, to be able to discuss it exactly. But I definitely will talk to them about where babies come from, and it's important because, like old folks always say, girls bring them home, you know. You know, girls bring them home, you know what I'm saying? And so by me having 2 girls, you know, I gotta make sure they are well equipped with what is the objective for me and why they you know, and some of the things that they would do or say or play and prey on. And But I feel like those conversations already happen, but in a lighter way. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you can't wear this. You're not ready for it. You know what I'm saying? And so me and my daughter, we talk about, she'll ask me certain things, and I always tell her, I never say no. I'll always tell you, you're not ready for it. You know what I'm saying? Or it's not time. And so she knows, okay, that means I have to, and we talk about, you have to be mature enough to be ready to and get to be able to receive the tensions and different things when it comes. And I tell her, like, little things that you do around the house and shows me if you're ready or you're prepared for it. You know, like how you listen to me, how you handle yourself in public, how you address, you know what I'm saying, you address a boy that says something to you that's inappropriate. Like, that lets me know if you're mature or ready or able to move to have more responsibility. And so that's what we talk about often.
I hear what your brother told you all in that. Your brother gave you some really great advice. Shout out to him about what all comes with it. So much that comes with it. Even though you probably couldn't internalize it at this time, it seems like you've actually watered those seeds and actually giving some vines to them and bearing some great fruit. Because the reason I asked this question is because it's not just because of child support, but some of it is because of how many men are out there on child support, how many people are having babies that are not taken care of as a union. And it's starting to give this whole bad name between black men and black women, people getting angry, and not just black people.
Yeah.
But the premise of my question came from my culture first and extends out to the rest of the world. So
Right.
I felt if we have this conversation of respect, self-love, it would be you have better options and choices of what we choose to recreate in the world. Even though sex is fun, it's amazing, it's a fun activity, you're going to do some reckless things, everybody has their moments, but there's another level of responsibility that we need to at least be conscious of.
Right. Man, I mean, just to talk about like what you were saying as far as like, you know, in our community, you know, it's very difficult to, you know, raise something or do something that you yourself haven't been exposed to. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very hard to raise a man if there wasn't no man to raise. You know what I'm saying? And so there's things, yes, the mother can provide and do the things necessary, but there's certain attributes a father gives to children to balance them out, you know? And so I feel like when it's unbalanced, you create unbalanced kids where they have to figure out what attributes that they receive from their parents that are unbalanced and be able to bring that or heal from it or balance it out themselves. So like when you think of single mothers, you know, a lot of single mothers, they feel overworked sometimes, you know what I'm saying? And that's because they're doing the job of two people, you know what I'm saying? And so they're doing the job of a mom and a father. And so with that, you know, their tempers are short, you know, and different things that that comes into play. And so when it comes to emotionally being stable for children, sometimes it doesn't come, you know, it's sometimes it becomes unstable. And so, not saying it's for every single mother, but it plays a part into the upbringing, into the development of their children, you know. And so you definitely need a father, you need a mother, you need both parents. They're so important. I mean, if Jesus had both parents, we have to have them too, you know. You know what I'm saying?
It's a pot of gumbo when it comes to that whole totality of the separated households, right? There are a lot of governments things that were done. There were a lot of us things that were done. There were a lot of we things that were done. There are a lot of drunken uncles that were done and introduced things too early to the little nieces. There's a lot of all of that.
And the boys.
And the boys. It's just a lot of that in a pot of gumbo where it's hard to separate which one when you scoop it out to deal with first when everything is just boiling over. And it's a long journey that we have. But I think, in my opinion, it's going to start with forgiveness by and by. And the people that can't renew their time and be better, we're going to have to just make them walk the plank.
Walk the plank.
Can't be on the ship anymore.
I don't know, man, because I feel like, you know, like just for me and my wife, like, statistically, we shouldn't even be together. We shouldn't even made it. You know what I'm saying? Because I come from, divorced parents, and then she comes from not having parents for a while, and so in that, we had some habits that were not, conducive for a long-lasting marriage, and so one of the things that I had to do, I had to really learn and understand my wife's upbringing, and so it allowed me to be patient with some things. It allowed me to understand like why she operate a certain way, and be able to communicate effectively of how or why these things affect me. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of us we miss that aspect of really understanding the importance of upbringing and how you lived when you were younger. And so I'm a really routine person, but that's because we had routines growing up, you know what I'm saying? And so no matter my parents were divorced, we still had routines at each house.
Right. I believe trauma creates heroes and it creates villains. And I also believe in muscle memory. So when you meet somebody and two people come together, you have to remember that person you come together with had a muscle memory of doing whatever it is they do way before they met you, even if it's right or wrong or morality or whatever. And that's what the point is. You have to be willing to stick around for that muscle memory to change. And worth it. Because you got to remember, if you want somebody to change something about themselves that is inaccurate or maybe a little bit off key, you're going to have to ask them over 2,000 times.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe 3,000. And that might take a year.
Right.
Right? But you only have to see 1 inch of change. Even if they was the person you asked them to be for 3 hours and then they went their last 21 as they trying, like that muscle memory, the innate ability just to do it like that won't happen. And that's where the forgiveness by and by comes into part for me when it comes to long-term relationships. How good is the muscle memory you trying to change? How good are you trying to understand communication? Do you know the 5 love languages? Is it in your friendships as well as your marriages? Right. Are you giving out the same love language that you want to receive? Because that's not it. You can demand what you want, but also you got to give out what is demanded.
Oh man, you know what? When I read that book, man, my wife's love language was my lowest love language. Like, you know what I'm saying? So her love language was words of affirmation. You know what I'm saying? And so my lowest, I didn't believe in words of affirmation because, like being around men all my life, it was like if I came home and I had all A's and B's, I'm like, Dad, I got all A's and B's. He's like, you supposed to. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just, it's not an option. Like, I can't go home and be like, Dad, I'm a good dad. Like, you had him, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was it. Yeah. So it was like the affirmation wasn't there because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? And so muscle memory. So I never believed in affirmation. So it was very difficult for me to learn words of affirmation. So because I always felt like, well, you're supposed to. You know what I'm saying? And so I had to break that habit, and it took a while, man. It took years. I had to literally put a plan in place for myself to like I have a alarm on my phone. I'll be like, give affirmation. You know what I'm saying? So, and so I can rebuild this memory.
Whatever you got to do, because it's genuine, because you plan to do it. And now you're making the steps. So it's whatever you got to do in that regard. I mean, so many people, like I said, give out the love language they want in return instead of asking or trying to be more inquisitive about what that person needs. Because like you said, it could be on your lowest tier and you have no idea how to give it. But it's the fact that you're doing the research and that you did try to give it is where the changes begin. Some people say, you know what? I can't figure it out. I'm done. She just gonna have to, she or he's gonna have to love me the way that I am. And that's not enough. In an ever-changing world where you get older every day, things change every day, seasons change every day. It's just not enough to sit there and say, hey, this is me, deal with it.
Right. But you know what, like with marriage, I always, when people ask, you have the single people like, what is marriage like? I always tell them it's like, that seed that you plant in the ground, it's like, a diamond, you know what I'm saying? It has to go, you have two people with two different perspectives, and you have to, bend and mend to have that one perspective. It doesn't mean y'all think alike or act alike. It just means that there's understanding. You agree to disagree. Y'all have a agreed vision for your family and your life that y'all working towards. And you patient with their development, and you have the idea. The aim is that we're gonna figure it out no matter what. You know what I'm saying? And so, just like a diamond, it goes through the pressure, the heat, in order to become that gem that you admire the most. And without that pressure and without that heat, it'll never become that gem. It'll just be a rock. And the same thing with you think about a seed. You plant the seed in the dirt, and it grows, and it's being fed the nutrients it needs in order to move, in order to break out of the seed and break out of the dirt, in order to blossom. And so that's your marriage. You both come with your own insecurities, your own flaws, and you have to deal with them, and you have to deal with them together and figure out how can you operate in this marriage with your insecurities and your flaws, where it's comfortable for each other. And so without
no, please finish.
No, go ahead. Without that, it takes a toll, and then sometimes it doesn't work.
I believe you, and I think sometimes people don't understand that in marriage, this is my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, in marriage you fall in and out of love constantly, but hopefully you don't fall out of like is super important. Like makes you get up and do the things and do the work because you really like this person. Like is underrated. Love is very important. I believe you fall in and out. You can fall in and out of love, not lose love for the person, but to be in love with a person, to discover new things about them and fall in love over and over again is the accomplishment of marriage. But also like, if you fall out of like with someone, now you can't even stand the way that they breathe, the way that they talk, the way that they look. You look for things that you just don't like. Right. And hopefully you never get to that point where you always like that person and then you stay falling in love with different parts of them as much as you're going, because you will discover new things about them. Dig deeper.
Right.
They're worth it. They're worth it. Trust me. If they're worth it, dig deeper.
Yeah.
Should there be a basic training program amongst men, a level of education given out, skill traits in the Black community or any community, where we talk about financial literacy, communication, how to change a tire, how to change a tie, gardening, talking to the elderly with intent, doing general wealth building with stocks, outside of the church, outside of the Boys and Girls Club, outside of the school? I'm talking about home-based tribal building throughout the community. Lemonade stands, flea markets with our kids, financial literacy, fake money, monopoly money if we have to, doing chores for money. Like each household is establishing these things where it's reinforced by the adults to make it cool to be financial literacy, cool to exercise, cool to eat your vegetables, cool to understand what economics is in the community.
Yeah, I think this should be. I feel like there's already, there's groups already doing that in different neighborhoods. Well, let me not say different neighborhoods, different cities, and they may target specific neighborhoods. I think there's groups and they might focus on various different things. There might be a hub for, but it's a specific program that's kind of like national, that kind of like home in to all neighborhoods. I don't think I'm not sure if that's in place. But definitely I can think of a few programs that actually focus on one or two of those aspects, but as a whole, as a totality, that's something that is definitely needed. I feel like amongst group of men, amongst friends that are trying to figure out this thing, like they do it together, you know what I'm saying? But as far as like me and my homies, we all in this one neighborhood and we're changing this neighborhood, that's something that we really would need,
Think about that would look like. Take 10 of your closest friends that are all doing well in life, that you say, I could trust you around my wife. My wife can trust around your husband. We'll trust you around my kids, because there are a lot of stuff that goes along with that. I can trust who you bring around my kids, who you bring around my wife, and we have a village and we are building. We have doctors, lawyers, we have this here, we have these things, these tools. They don't have to be these things, but these are the tools we're teaching in this household. These are the tools we're teaching in the house, and we're all integrating and changing out and really creating legacy.
Yeah. You know what? I can really say, my line brothers, like we kind of discuss that amongst ourselves, you know what I'm saying? And so you have doctors, you have a lawyer, you have engineers, music producers, business owners, and we discuss different things amongst each other on how to actually do this job as a man, and we kind of encourage each other. We have our jokes like, man, this is tough, and like, yeah, but suit up, and we hold each other accountable. you know um if you're not going to do right, then you need to make some decisions. Like, we have like those tough conversations with one another, and we hold each other accountable. And so it's like this level of this bar that we have set amongst ourselves. We don't even know what it is, but we just know excellence is the only option. And if it's not, you should be able to. You're going to be called out on it. What do you need? We want to see each other. We want to see each other succeed. And what support you need, we're here for it. Whether it be encouraging, whether it be, hey, you just need a shoulder to cry on. I have, they'll call, and like, I had one of my line brothers, he'd give me a call and say, how's your kids? Like how is their mental? Like, are they progressing the way you want them to?
Right.
Is the thing, and you don't really have conversations like that amongst men. You just kind of my kids get on my nerves, but like,
right.
but really having those conversations, like, how's their mental? Like, what did you do with your kids? Can you share? Like, one of my line brothers, quite a few of them, they ask, like, can you share how you discipline your kid? Like, what program did you use when your kids were toddlers to help them progress in school? And so we have that kind of conversation. And I think you have men in their groups that's doing that, specifically, but as a whole, I think men is just starting to get comfortable with just speaking anyway. You know what I'm saying? I think that's been a turn for the past, I think our generation, maybe the generation right before, where we actually able and feel comfortable communicating about, this thing called life as a man and our insecurities.
For those listening right now, please explain what a line brother is for those who don't know.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so I'm part of a fraternity, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and so you pledge with a group of young men. So that's when you actually cross the burning sands of a particular year in a day. And so I'm Prairie View A&M University, and I crossed the Rho Theta chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And so on my line, there was 15 brothers, and so including myself. And so all 15 of us are, we crossed in 2005, March 20th, 2005. And so we we talk and we have these conversations, and we have spits and we have spills. We're brothers, and so, and for me, it was, I already have 4 brothers. So I was like, I don't really need no new brothers, you know what I'm saying? And so, but by going through our process and becoming close, they're close to me just like my brothers, and so we will have those same tough conversations. We hold each other accountable. We talk about our kids and what we can do to support each other with the kids. And, and we talk about, if my son wants to be a doctor, well, you can go to your Uncle Saint, you know what I'm saying? Because he's a neurosurgeon. So you go to him, you talk to him. What was his process? How did he do it? And so we always talk about what our kids want to be in life, and then who can they talk to? We have a farmer, we have a lawyer, we have a doctor, we have a geophysicist, we have a teacher, we have administrators, we have mechanical engineers, chemical engineers. We have them. We have a lot on our line in itself, and so that's our network. That's my close knit network outside of everybody else that you know.
Okay, I have a new question here for you on the show. This is a brand new question. This is not an audible. This is a new question added to the doc, and you're the first person we're gonna ask this question today. Are you ready?
It's an audible.
Nah. This is the audible. This is not an audible. This is not. This is a brand new question. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Do you see yourself represented in entertainment and in media today? And how does that make you feel?
Oh wow. I see myself in certain aspects, certain parts of me, in an entity. So you have, the business person, the one that's political, the one that's in politics, the one in entertainment, the things that you like and the things that you grew to. I think as a whole, we're represented, but you will never find one person representing all of you. You know what I'm saying? And so like, I might be a basketball player, so I see like LeBron James. I'm like, okay, he represents the things that I may be looking and moving towards. If I want to be a rapper, I see Jay-Z, and he may be look similar to what I want to move towards. But I think as African American men that it's so much of it. We're not one fit all. We don't just fit in a box.
You're right about that. But
And so
let's take that example you just gave. You said Jay-Z, you say Jay-Z is a billionaire rapper. That is the first thing you think about, right? When you say LeBron James, you think one of the greatest NBA players of all time. Now I'm gonna take it all the way there. When you say Bill Cosby, you say the people think of rapists, right? Or they think of America's dad, right? Those two things. So in that aspect, are there any representations of who you are, being the man who has been planning, working on your life, being an upstanding Black father? Do we have that representation today?
No, I can't specifically say anybody that's on the screen that I know of that is a great father. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody working towards that. Maybe a motivational speaker, maybe like Eric Thomas or somebody like that. But as far as seeing that representation of me on a daily basis, no, because I feel like when you said that, yes, you think of celebrities and you think of, I guess they all celebrities in that.
The question comes from our childhood. When we were children, we had Family Matters, we had all these shows. We think of Carl Winslow, you think of a dad. He's a guy trying to figure it out, even though he's a cop and all this other stuff, but he was a dad. Like those representations of fathers. Maybe I need to augment the question a little bit. Do you see representation of Black fathers? Maybe I need to make the change. Do you see us as a representation where we actually have balance of who we are?
No, it's not a huge representation. It's definitely not like when we were younger, where you have various different shows. I think you definitely gonna have to you have to find some aspect of it in maybe a Netflix show or something like that. I don't know. It might be one or two.
How does that make you feel?
It's very for me, it's disheartening for my kids, you know what I'm saying? And so I feel like, and I just had this conversation with somebody, and I told him, I said, for me, it was different because being from Detroit, everything was Black, you know what I'm saying? And so we had Black mayor, we had Black council members, we had lawyers, doctors, everything I saw was Black, you know what I'm saying? And so when I left Detroit, I knew I was Black through and through, and I was proud to be it, you know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that I had to be a certain way. I just knew who I was and where I came from, you know what I'm saying? And the shows that we were seeing, we sat down, before the divorce as a family, and we watched them, you know what I'm saying? And so, so it's kind of like, but for my kids, we literally have to search and find, and a lot of times I will have to tell my daughter, like, it's okay, you can watch everything, but you definitely have to watch somebody that represents you. And she came back and said, it's difficult, Daddy. And that's what she said. That's very difficult to find. And when she do find them, she's like, and I don't like their shows.
I think that's one thing. That's why I added the question, because I've been watching a lot of stuff lately. It's hard for me to find anything to watch with my son or watch that it doesn't draw the full line of being over sexualized or this, that, and the third. So it's just a question I'm gonna start asking the men to see if we can come to a place and come to a decision where we start thinking about it, maybe take some action, and maybe they will see that these things need to be reproduced back into production. Now,
Yeah.
it comes time for that real intrusive question. It's a question that's very intrusive. Now, you don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but I ask that you drop a gem. It's a two-part question. Are you ready for this question?
I'm ready. I think I'm ready for all questions right now. They've been difficult. They've been good. I like it. Go ahead.
What was abusive to you that you thought was love?
Oh, the way my parents communicated. Thought it was love, tough love, but it was end up being abusive.
How did you recognize it?
How did I recognize it? My wife shined a light on it, and she was like, you know, like I was a aggressive speaker, like as far as like I expressed myself real aggressively. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I was gonna, you know, I wasn't built that way. And so in my mind, I didn't call you out your name. I was good. You know what I'm saying? I might be like, I don't like that. Ooh, you know.
Yeah.
And so my wife was like, well, you talking to me like anybody off the street. Right. And I'm not anybody off the street. And so I was, you know, in my mind, I was saying, you know, good things, but because my approach and my delivery was trash, I had to figure it out. And then also my best friend, I remember he telling me one day, we was actually in college. This is when I really started the journey. He said, we love you, we know you. You know what I'm saying? And so we know how you are, but everybody else don't know you like that, Mel. And so you gotta watch how you talk to people because they take offense to it. And so in my mind, you know, I'm around dudes, and then they're my friends. So I'm like, this is how we talk. And so, so I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't know. You know, and if you couldn't take it, I would condemn you. You know what I'm saying? And so I had to realize like that's not cool. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wasn't raised the same way, and everybody don't receive the way I speak to people are all the same. So
I can agree with that, man. I actually have to hold back sometimes because where I come from, what we did was snap, do the dozens, Jones, whatever you want to call it. All we did was make fun of all our problems and all our insecurities. So it gave me a really tough skin. But how long did it take for you to accept the message being given?
Oh man. So when he said it, I accepted immediately, but I ain't know how to change it. You know what I'm saying? I just, so what I would normally do, because I didn't know how to change it, I just wouldn't say nothing, you know? And so I would just be quiet. And so I literally had to figure, you know, I would make mistakes, you know, I would say something, I'm like, okay, that's not how I should have said it. And so I would have to stop and process it a lot. And so it wasn't until I read a book called Crucial Conversations. And so it kind of gave me some skills that I needed in order to communicate effectively. And so after that, it's been cool. You know, I make mistakes here and there, but it's not that bad. And so even like with my wife, like we have, like she'll have that, we have this look that she does when she, like when I'm getting to that point, she'd be like, babe, and I'd be like, all right. That's calm me down. Like, you know, I'm like, all right. So
my wife takes an extra precaution to try to make sure I don't get hyped because the people that are always happy and jolly are complete opposite when it's time to go head of steam. And I've learned to have that muscle memory over the years. In fact, she's learned to come talk to me first before I get any news about what's going on, whether it's some disrespect or some integrity being challenged. She makes sure that these things are in place so I can have opportunity to think about my next move. So I appreciate her for recognizing that.
Yeah, so it's definitely with other people. My wife would be like, you know, she'll have to warn me first, and so it allows me to process it. But like within this journey that I've been on, like it's actually been better, man. I've been at a different place because I'm not angry, you know what I'm saying? So I really came to a point where I'm healed, where it's very difficult to rouse me. But when I am aroused, it's a wrap. Like it's a wrap.
Now it's time for your fourth audible. Bam, 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 bam. We almost done with the questions in the show today, but I have to ask you this question because we have now visited outside the country and lived outside the country.
Right.
Do you sometimes get survivor's remorse when you're watching the sunset in the most beautiful places around the world?
No, man, I don't get survivor remorse because I feel like I said, I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for my life is not my own. So in my mind, I'm doing it for my students that I'm still connected to on Facebook or Instagram, and they see me doing something, they're like, oh, I can do that. Or my niece or my cousins, like, oh, I can go overseas. You know, if they have that opportunity, they'll know I'm capable of doing it because my cousin did it. You know, he comes where I'm from, or he's been where I've been, and so I know I can do it. And so so when I'm there, I enjoy it because I know someone's gonna do it after I leave, you know, and somebody's gonna follow in my footsteps. And so I don't get survivor remorse. This is what I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Absolutely. I love that answer. Now I want to poll you. I want to know the top 3 things you want in a woman. And I just don't want to know any. And I know you watch the show, so you know what I'm looking for, but I want you to be honest. What are the top 3 things you want in a woman? There's word I'm looking for that I feel every man should have. Now, subjugated towards you, there's no wrong answer. What do you need?
Respect. Intelligence, definitely intelligence. We gotta be able to hold a conversation, and be able to have a good time, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like because when it's all said and done, kids are gone, we accomplished what we have. Can we still enjoy each other?
Do we like each other?
Do we like each other? I can't enjoy you. Why are we doing it? Like, why are we here? You know?
Absolutely. And intelligence, you know, is the one I always talk about, because beauty fades, things happen. But if you have somebody emotionally stable and all the forms of intelligence that it brings for you, right, it can be something amazing that you always discover new love languages and new likes and new loves and fall in love and then outside again. That's just a tad bit of information. Anybody's watching, looking for somebody, look for the mindset. Trust me, you're going to love that more than the physical attributes. Which physical attributes is a plus, and respect is everything.
Oh, most definitely. I believe like intelligence, you need it, you know. Something can happen. Like, you can get in a car accident, you blind, but you know, you can't hold a conversation with the one you love. It's like, it's not gonna last. So I think that's the big thing too.
Absolutely. God forbids anybody get into any car accidents go blind. Let's say that right now. As a husband, would you rather have a great woman or a great wife? There's no wrong answer, but you got to choose one and explain why.
A good woman. Why? Because a good woman knows how to be a good wife.
Okay. I never asked men to elaborate. If that's what you need, I hear you. Well, what does that look like? No, I never asked, but I gotta ask you. What does that look like?
What does a good woman look like? You know what I'm saying? A good woman pretty much knows. It's another audible. I feel like this is audible.
No, I'm just messing with you. You ain't gotta answer that. I just wanted to do that. That was super.
We here. We just
hypocritical. I never asked. Well, let me go ahead and ask now. That's what I was laughing at. Just being funny.
No, man. No, it's cool.
Well, that's what you need, and I totally respect it. A good woman knows how to be a good wife, and absolutely, she knows how to be a bunch of things. Know how to be a friend, a lover, a wife, a mother. So yes, I agree with you 1,000%. Yeah. We talk about leaving a legacy, but we mostly ignore major steps. Mm-hmm. Do you have a will?
No, I don't have a will. That's something we actually talked about this year, establishing a will for our kids. And that's on one of my to-do lists for this year. So, you know, when I talked about earlier, having my 10-year plan and breaking it all the way down. And so in this year, that's something that we have to do. Is a will for the kids. And so I put that in my project book as well.
You know, the hardest thing is not talking about the will for me. The hardest thing was deciding who I would leave my children with. Should me and my wife both meet an untimely demise?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think about that. Who are you going to leave your kids with? Who are you going to actually say, hey, can you take custody of my kids if something happens to us?
Yeah, you know what? We had that conversation before, me and my wife. Like, who would we send our kids to? So if something happened, and we really looked at who will instill in them the same characteristics that we want to have in them, and will develop and cultivate their purpose that we see in them and they see in themselves. And so, Lord forbid something happened, we had some people in mind. I have an auntie that we looked into. We also have, my mom, my dad, they still around, and they still strong-minded. And I have a brother, and so we looked into that. And so where would they go and where would they be? And so it's very difficult because you want them to be in a 2-parent household, but Lord forbid they may not be. And so one of the things that in the midst of me studying, I'm actually writing a book so that way I can leave for my kids if something is to happen. And so that way they'll get the understanding and the knowledge that that I gained over the years.
I was just about to ask you that. I was going to ask you, were you going to take this planning book and making it available for other fathers who need to have a basic level of instruction on how to even start planning? I think that's something that you should. You already wrote it. Now all kids are not going to do gymnastics, but all kids have activities.
Yeah, but remember when I talked about like developing a certain characteristics in your kids? And so we chose gymnastics for my oldest because she had an instant gratification behavior. You know what I'm saying? So if anything she don't like to persevere when things get hard. And so in gymnastics, you can't move up until you master each thing. And so it doesn't matter how if you did it good once, you have to do it consistently. And so because of that, she had instant gratification habit, we were just like, boom, gymnastics is what you're doing. So,
right. See, you're teaching me right now. The planning book, I've never thought about that. Having an actual plan for my wife and her having a plan for me, like these things. A lot of people need to have more conversation. If there was a book I could follow or instruction manual, it'd be good. Let's take it all the way back to kids of VCRs. When you put a tape in the machine, when you used to buy a VCR, it came with an instruction manual. Most people never read the instruction manuals on anything. It can answer all your questions. So what we need is an instruction manual on how to get this right, so we have a basic level of communication where we can say, hey, Mel, book chapter 8, man, you need to take a look at it. Oh yeah, exactly. That's exactly. Oh yeah, I help you out with that because I understand that. The basic level of textbook, a basic level of communication.
Bad.
I'll put that on you. I'm charging you with that now.
All right. When I get ready to do it, I'm gonna have to let you do the forward.
Sounds great. I'm with it. Validation from your partner. It's like you win a championship when you meet the right woman. But Mr. Mel, I ask you this question. Do you defend the title? Are you competing with the best versions of yourself, still being that strapping man who's out going to get massage lessons to make sure you are defending the title?
Yes, man. I definitely am, man. I think, as the time continues to pass, I learn more and more about my wife, you know what I'm saying? And by me learning more and more, I have I don't know, man, I just, I have this mindset of always attaching a purpose to each thing, you know what I'm saying? And so attaching a purpose to my marriage. And so it keeps me, you know what I'm saying? And I just remember reading this book, Man's Searching for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And he was saying how if a man has a why, it will endure anything. And so by me attaching a purpose to my marriage, it allows me to endure, the bad habits that I'm trying to break in order to have the poster child for marriages. You know what I'm saying? And that's my aim. So when people look at my marriage, they'll say, "Oh, how did y'all get there?" And then we can talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't all peaches and cream. Like you said, there's ups and downs, and there are hills and there are valleys. But all in all, we endured, and here we are, this gem for people to look and admire.
With all your gems and information that you've given out today, if your son was a grown man today and you can pour whatever knowledge from you directly into him, his question to you would be this: when should I get serious about a woman?
When you have a vision and you're working towards your vision and you have a plan for it. Until then, leave a woman where she's at. Because if you don't have a vision for your life, you don't know what you're looking for in a helpmate, and you don't know what you're going to do in order to provide. And so, until then, work on yourself, work towards that vision, put it on paper, map it out, work on it every day, and be the best person that you can be.
Absolutely. Well said, sir. I came up with something called operating at 100%. And what I mean by that is purpose, health, confidence, money, and knowledge. Again, I say purpose, health, confidence, money, and knowledge. Purpose meaning you're living in your purpose, doing the things you are, designing yourself to be the greatest you can be. Health means you're meditating, eating right, praying, doing the things you need for great health. Confidence means you're doing it without any fear or any insecurities. Money, you saved a little money, made a little money, spent a little money today as investment. And knowledge, you took in some new information.
All right.
I took each of those that were 20% each, totaling up to 100% for a 5 to 6 day period. Each day gives you an average. So if you're not working hard, 65% tells you you're not working towards your dreams of being the person in totality that you plan to be. If you are hitting the goals of 93% and above, you know that you have the focus and tunnel vision need to acquire to the goal. So I ask you, Mr. Mel, out of purpose, health, confidence, money, and knowledge, how much of 100% have you been operating out of in the last 24 hours?
Oh man, definitely not 100. I'm not perfect. Knowledge, 20. I literally sat down and read Who Moved My Cheese.
Wow. That's another. You know what? Not to cut you. You've been dropping some really classic books today, okay? And you know, many people that read sometimes have trouble recalling the authors. But you were spot on point. I'm gonna challenge you. I'm gonna challenge you to read a book called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Okay. I might add that to my list. I get a book list, and so when people drop a book on me, I write the list. I write it on my list, so that way I can add it to my library. I believe in. I think it was Les Brown who was saying that you should have a library. You should have a tangible library, and you should have an audio library. And so I'm really big on that. And so that's going to be something I add to it.
Side note, before we go further, Les Brown has come up in my last 4 interviews. Les Brown has really been a testament for men out there. They've all mentioned what he's done. And I just want to shout out to Les Brown for being just a great incubator for men to grow and be better people. I'm sure he's helping people as well, but for the men on this show, Les Brown, I thank you.
Yeah, that man literally when being here, I was at a moment where I was like really searching for like what I'm supposed to be doing. Listen to Les Brown, Eric Thomas, and one of the things that Eric Thomas said, he was like, "What do you want to be a guru of?" You know what I'm saying? And so that made me really hone in and really think about what I wanted to do, because I think we ultimately have to have a job, but you're placed here on earth to do work. And so what is the work that I'm supposed to be doing? And that made me think about, what do I want to be a guru of, And so shout out to Eric Thomas, Detroit brother.
Shout out to Eric Thomas. Shout out to Detroit. Shout out to D. Yeah. Let's go on to health out of 20%.
So health, I ate right. I meditate every morning. So that's part of my morning routine. So I meditate, I pray, and I read my Bible every morning. So I would say roughly, but I did have cookies today, so I'm gonna say I'm at 16. I'm at say 15, 16% there. You know what I'm saying? The cookies, it was 2.
Confidence.
Confidence, I'm gonna say 15. 15. You know what? Just from when I was reading Who Moved My Cheese, man, it made me really evaluate which person I was in the book. And so I was Paul. And so
Really?
yeah. So I realized like I'm at a place of Paul. I'm not sniffing around and I'm not scurrying around in some aspects, but I'm in Hall where I'm actually in the process. And I feel like that's who he was. He's in the process of getting to a goal that he's trying to reach. And that's why I feel like I'm at right now.
Man, it's been years to that book, man. You brought hard, man. That was a serious book. It's a serious book.
Yeah. So I never, I just, somebody dropped it on me and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna order it. And I ordered it, I looked at it, I was like, 96 pages? Bet I'm gonna read it right now. And so I read it today. Literally sat down and read it today.
Yeah. That book is something.
Man.
It reminds me of Rich Dad, Poor Dad a little bit.
Yeah.
In some cases.
Yeah. That one, and what's the other one everybody reads? The Millionaire Next Door.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have purpose, health, confidence, money.
Money. I would say I'm operating roughly around 10%. I am in doing a total money makeover. And I'm learning finances and I am creating a foundation for myself to move forward. I think I didn't have budgeting skills. I can manage my money, but I didn't have a budget skill where I am operating in the way that I should be moving for the actual purpose that I have for my life. And so I had to revamp it.
That is 81%, sir. That's
is
pretty
it
good. Yes, it is.
I wouldn't think that was that high. I would have told myself 60.
No, 81%. That's good. That's good. I mean, listen, it's hard to operate at 100%. If you really challenge yourself, if you really have a no excuse attitude, it's hard to maintain that every day. Where you're operating at your best purpose, best health, best confidence, best money, best knowledge. And the secret sauce is consistency. Mm-hmm. Very hard to put in that secret sauce.
Secret sauce. That's what's up.
Thank you, sir. You are now part of the Silhouette Boys Club. It is people like you who come out the shadows to help people like me shine. Now, before you go, we love to get referrals for the show. Is there anybody you would like to come on, drop these gems, and answer these questions?
Yeah, I would say Anton James.
Anton James. Well, you got to connect us with Mr. Anton James. Let's get it going. Let's get him on the SOULutions for Men so he can answer these questions. Now, we'd love for you to give shout outs or anything you like to promote or anything you like to say here. We'd love for you to spill it out.
You know what? I'm going to do a foundation that my first cousin, she did after she had cancer. My sister, Pink Journey, my sister's Pink Journey. And it's a foundation that provide assistance to those women that are going through breast cancer. And so it actually, when she was going through it, there was a foundation that provided for her that helped pay her bills, that helped do different things, so that way she wouldn't have to lean on the family 24/7. And so she started one for us, for our culture. And so my sister.
What's the name of it again?
My Sister Pink Journey.
My Sister Pink Journey. Everybody check out My Sister Pink Journey. Go and donate. Go help someone you don't know. Go help someone that you have no reciprocity to. Trust me, sometimes we just need to give and not get nothing in return because people need it and you need it.
Right, most definitely.
For those listening, you can reach me at soulutionsformen@gmail.com to be a guest on the show or on any platform, Facebook, Clubhouse, Instagram, Twitter, or in the streets if you see me. Before we go, let's have a quote from Dr. Miles Monroe. True success is not measured by how much you have done or accomplished. It's not compared to what others have done or accomplished. True success is what you have done compared to what you could have done. In other words, living to the maximum is competing with yourself. It's living up to your own true standards and capabilities. Success is satisfying your own personal passion and purpose in pursuit of personal excellence. So, question of the day, question of your life. Are you maximizing your life? Ladies and gentlemen, this has been SOULutions, Mr. Mel. We thank you for finally coming on the show. We hope you had a great time.
And I did. I appreciate you having me, man. It was an honor.
Man, we salute you, man. Everybody, peace.
Peace.